show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll, brought to you by Bill Luke Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I-17 and Camelback Road since 1927.
Yeah, we got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and...
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Nope, it is not Don McDowell. You have the alternate bass in the box. You've got John Colazar. Big Bass Daddy himself has taken to the weaponry side of life this weekend. He is up in Unit 6B with his son, his grandson, and his brother. They are hunting mule deer. And from all indications that I heard over the weekend, they're having a great time. Seen a lot of does, but not that magical buck that they were looking for. With me in studio today, I have Chris Denham. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, John. How are you doing? Oh, should I call you Alternate Bass?
Alternate Bass, yeah. Okay. Chris Denham is the co-owner and publisher of Western Hunter Magazine, Elk Hunter Magazine, and his newest entrepreneurial move, the Western Hunter TV show, which is on the Sportsman's Channel. Right?
I'm the executive producer, and I keep asking my guys, what exactly is an executive producer? Because that must be my job description. It must be the guy that worries about everything, but doesn't actually do that much. But yeah, the Western Hunter, we're on the Sportsman Channel on Sundays, Arizona time. Now that daylight savings just did the fallback deal, is 12:30 today Arizona time.
Awesome. Now, I've seen a couple of the shows. You approach, and your group seems to approach hunting from a more unique angle than the whack 'em and stack 'em type thing. Why don't you describe what you do?
Yeah, our goal, which it seems kind of silly because it's really simple in its concept, was to basically show everybody what we do as hunters in the West. Most outdoor TV shows you see, especially the whitetail shows, the turkey shows, they're hunting on farms, they're staying in farmhouses. But as most people that hunt out West know, that's not what we get to do. No. We're out there. We're camping. I'm sure that you get chances to stay in motels and stuff like that along the ways. But for the most part, we all grew up, taking our camp in our pickup trucks and going out in the mountains and doing it ourselves. And that's what we do. We actually just take what it is we've done our entire lives. And we have three hosts. There's myself, Nate Simmons, and Ryan Hatfield. We just take what we've done our entire lives and just basically bring it to TV. So that means, putting our camps on our back, sometimes in a pickup truck, but it's hunting in the West and hunting basically on our own.
From what I saw too, by the way, didn't you guys win some awards last year in Vegas?
Yeah, 2013 was our first year on the air. And we were able to capture the best new series with the Sportsman Channel, which was actually a huge deal last year because the way outdoor TV works is that the network itself has its own shows.
Right.
And they've got some great ones. The Cam News, the NRA show, which is an awesome show. Benny Spies, Meet the McMillans. These were all big produced shows that all came on the air last year, and those were the shows we were up against. And here we're this little independent show from out west, and we were able to take the award for Best New Series. We were actually nominated in the top 5 for Best Big Game Series as well.
Oh, cool.
So, in fact, this Monday, if any fans out there starting this Monday, that's tomorrow, they start voting for this year's awards. So you can go to the Sportsman Channel, sportsmanchannel.com. And you can vote for the Western Hunter Best Big Game Series.
Now, I knew for a while it was difficult to get it in the Phoenix metro area. Certain areas that you lived in would not carry the Sportsman's Channel. Is it more readily available now?
Yeah, originally it was just on Dish and Direct. So if you're on Dish and Direct, you're on $3.95. You got the Sportsman Channel. If you got that, you had that basic sports package. But Cox didn't carry it.
Right. That's who I had for the longest time.
Myself. I mean, I had to go to my daughter's house to watch her own show. And of course, about 2 months after I dropped Cox and picked up Dish, then Cox picked up the Sportsman Channel. So now just about anybody who's got cable or satellite TV here in the Phoenix metro area can pick up the Sportsman Channel with the right package. It's just a level 2 package. It's not like a $5.95 a month edition. And you pick up some great channels. You pick up Sportsman Channel, the Outdoor Channel. There's a couple of fishing channels. For anybody who's into hunting and fishing, you're going to want that package anyways.
Sure. From all the things that I've seen, and you and I both know, you can consolidate down into a hunt into a TV show and perhaps a half hour. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, you do it in 15 minutes. You and I both know the realities of the dedicated time it takes to plan a hunt. Putting in, getting drawn. And that's the other thing I had a question on. How many states do you have to apply for these?
Gosh, I applied, just this year alone. I applied in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Nevada,
anything
Idaho,
in BC?
And then British Columbia. I was up in British Columbia, of course, up there. It's over the counter. You just go up there. But I did hunt it up in British Columbia. In fact, I had a black bear hunt up there that'll air in about, it's going to be about 4 weeks that show will air.
You want to release any information on that?
Well, I took a black bear.
Okay.
So that was the species. Of course, I was up, mule deer, elk, and black bear all seasons were all open. And it was a blast because I was hunting with good friends from Ron Rabote from Wounded Warrior Outdoors.
Okay.
And then the outfitter, Dave Wabnegger, Otter Lake Outfitters up there that works with Ron on taking our Wounded Warriors on hunts up in British Columbia and spring bear hunts. Got to hunt with those guys again. And you're in British Columbia backcountry. I mean,
sure.
Alpine, it's the Cascade Range, a little bit different than the Rockies. It's that coastal Cascade Range. And it's just absolutely amazing country. It's almost medieval looking, almost like,
deep,
Lord of the
dark,
Rings
green
kind of stuff. Yeah, just rainforesty kind of bottoms, and then as soon as you climb, and you have to climb, but as soon as you climb out of those bottoms, it just goes straight up to glacial peaks. From a cinematography standpoint, it's just amazing. I mean,
sure.
You could just sit I could have just sat there on the ground and stared at the mountains all day long. It was just absolutely stunning country.
Have you ever hunted up in Oregon?
Let me think if I actually hunted in Oregon.
This is a pull.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think, been to Oregon, hung out in Oregon. I'm going to go help with some guys spring bear hunting this year. If I don't draw, I'm going up. No, I've never actually hunted in Oregon.
I will tell you this. My son had a tag up there last year. Yeah, I think it was a year and a half ago. 2 years. It'll be 2 years now in November that I went up for him on his hunt. He drew a tag up there, and his was in the western part of the state.
Yeah.
Eastern part of Oregon is a lot like Arizona. He's traveled in there, and he's going to start putting in for that now because it's got a lot of the pinyon juniper and the sage country that we're accustomed to. But we hunted on the western edge of the state. I have never in my life seen ferns that were taller than me.
Yeah.
And you want to talk vertical, I mean, it's incredible because you go from downtown Portland and you're right there by the river and you're into 7,000, 8,000 feet. We got into some of those places and I thought, oh my God, you can see forever.
Right.
Which you could, except the only thing you're seeing is green. You're not able to see anything on the ground. Those elk, and they're the big Roosevelt elk.
Right.
I mean, good Lord, trying to find him and that stuff. He walked 50 yards away from me and I couldn't see him. That's how bad it is.
It's funny you say that because as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, I've hunted country. Like, yeah, I did. I hunted blacktails down by Medford.
Okay.
Medford, Oregon. And it's the same thing. I mean, you finally get you're in the trees. It's just you're driving up these mountains and you're covered in trees, and all of a sudden, boom, you can pop out where you can see, but all you can see is more trees.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating for people from Arizona.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I took my 15s up there and my tripod and I started glassing. I could glass where the clear cuts were from the timber guys. That's the only thing you can glass. And sometimes the elk are on the edges of those timbers early first light. But after first light, forget about it. They're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible country though, and it's beautiful. We went up by Tillamook, the cheese people.
Right.
Passed by the cheese factory. You're right there on the coast, and it's just gorgeous country. Beautiful photography.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of that, so now you're leaving today. Where are you headed today?
Heading out actually going Coos deer hunting today. One of our videographers, Kyle Johnson, actually has a tag, and we're talking about filming, but we're actually really excited. We're not filming this hunt.
Good.
No cameras. It's just the two of us going to go hunting, and we're scouting. Hopefully, my son and I have tags in the same unit later on in that third season. But it's going to be fun to really just not have to worry, not even think about filming, because we do a lot more than, we don't just film hunts. When we get up every day, we're making a TV show.
Sure.
And there's times it looks like you're just filming a hunt, but it is a totally different mentality that we have to take every day when we get up. And it starts from the time we get from the time
rolling out of your sack.
Literally. I mean, you're thinking, okay, what do I need to do to build a story today and make a show that's going to be interesting? And we don't stop thinking. I mean, sometimes guys are doing, those time lapse of the stars might be going till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then 4 o'clock in the morning, you're back up, thinking about what you got to do that day.
That's a pretty brutal schedule. And I remember an old time hunter that I saw who long ago said to me, he said, 1 person in the woods makes noise. 2 people makes the noise of 4, and 4 people makes the noise of 8. That's got to be really complicated for you to try. Number one, the movement and the filming. Do you set your cameraman further behind with the big zoom lenses, or how does it work?
No, our guys are pretty much right in our hip pocket.
Are they?
What I want is to be so close that I can just whisper over my shoulder, what we need to be doing. But the key is not just me, the guy in front of the camera. The key is the guy behind the camera. Our guys are just so experienced, and they're all hunters.
Yes.
Actually, Randy, one of our guys, he's not even really not a hunter. He just loves to film hunts, but he's done so many. He's just got it down. He just knows what to do, what not to do.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back. This is JK and
Chris Denham.
Oh, Jennifer, I love you for that. Thank you, dear. Anytime I can listen to George Strait in the morning, I'm a happy camper.
Gentleman George.
Yep. All right, Chris, you're heading out to Unit 32. Mm-hmm. One of the things you were talking to me about off the air is that you're backpacking in about 4 miles. My big concern, of course, is, so this isn't the luxury hotel since you're backpacking in. What do you do for water?
Water in Arizona is tricky. I mean, literally, like today, we'll pack enough water when we leave the truck so that if we spent the night, we'd have enough water to get back to the truck if you don't find any. But in general, in Arizona, you're pretty much using cattle water. What's stock tanks.
Right.
And cause you rarely find free-flowing streams.
No.
This year we might, though. As wet as with those big major storms. I'm just hearing reports from guys of creeks that are still running in Coos country that haven't seen run during the season in years. But using a water pump, a water purifying system, a pump system, that filters the water. Because obviously you're drinking out of stock tanks.
The pump system, and I've seen them in stores. You can buy them anywhere from $39.99 all the way to $300. Mm-hmm. What makes a good purification system on the pump versus not? And some of them, are they one-time pumps only?
No, they're multiple use. You just have to scrub. They usually have a ceramic type filter system or a charcoal type filter system that needs to be scrubbed, sometimes replaced depending on the type of filter it is. The more expensive filters, really the most expensive kind of filters are what I call expedition grade, where literally you could be going on a 4-week trip and all of a sudden your water pump breaking down is an absolute life-threatening tragedy.
Yeah.
That's where you want to spend the big bucks and get everything is machined aluminum and it's not going to break and is, guaranteed for life. The filters I use, I use the Sweetwater, from Pure. It's probably, I remember I've had it for 10 years, probably an $80-$100 filter.
Really?
But the key is you do want it to be able to filter out, organisms. Basically Giardia,
Is that what it is? Giardia?
Yeah, Giardia, that's Giardia and other protozoans and bacteria, living organisms. You got to make sure those get filtered out. But they're actually, and obviously, believe it or not, they're large. I mean, they're not.
You can see them.
In our world, we can't see them. Our eyes can't see them. But it's from a filter to filter that stuff out is pretty easy.
Well, that was a big concern, and I've gone out with Jim Unmarked a couple times, and we've hiked up like by Washington Park, up north, up there in Unit 22 and 23. And you're able to, there's a lot of free-flowing streams in the early spring, and they look just crystal clear. They're not.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. Anytime you're below the livestock level, if there's livestock in an area. Like when I was up in British Columbia, I just had to laugh. My outfitter laughed at me every day. Dave would from camp, he would have his water bottle and he'd drink, his water, and then he would dump his water out and put his water bottle in his pack. Of course, that's so counter to me. I'm looking I've drank half of it. I'm filling it up and putting it in my pack. And he
it's the
just
extra
laughed.
3 pounds that he didn't want to carry.
Yeah, because he knows that we're gonna hit water sometime today. 2 or 3 times today. We're gonna hit a reliable water source, and we were up at the glacier level, so we're drinking right out of glacier fed, so we didn't even use water purifiers. But he had the confidence that knows we can always find water when we need it. Being from Arizona, I'm thinking there's no way you can ever walk with that kind of confidence thinking you're going to find water, because you probably won't.
No. What's the most stagnant water you've had to filter out? Stock tanks?
Yeah, stock tanks are always the worst. And the worst is when as a kid, how many times, when I say kid, teenager, early 20s, when they did water purifiers, we pack those things with us. You ran out of water and you drank out of a stock tank, you just stuck your lips in there and you drank.
Oh, no.
I know. I cross my fingers, knock on wood. Never did get beaver fever or anything, any of the Giardia illnesses, but it was just dumb luck, because getting stuck without iodine tablets, if worst case scenario, iodine tablets to purify water, you'd be able to boil water, or a water purification system is a mistake.
Okay, you've the thought of Giardia is just, that drives me crazy. Only because I know the aftermath of that.
Yeah,
it's insidious.
Yeah,
and you're long time. Yeah, you do not get, for all those listening out there, do not attempt to do this without some form of purification system. Don't drink the water.
No, can't trust it. Anywhere in Arizona, you can't trust the water.
I started looking at that. I mean, when we were talking about 22, coming out of the mountains, some of the seeps that come through in the spring runoff. But you're right, because above us, along the top of the rim, they've got cattle that are up there pretty much almost all year long. So that infection is there, whether we want to admit it or not. Not infection, but the bacteria.
Yeah. It's just so prevalent in water supplies wherever there's livestock and wild animals. Beavers are the ones that really are the most prominent carrier. So, all
right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for a couple years now. What's the most memorable one that you've done so far? The most memorable filming hunt that you've been on so far?
Most memorable hunt. It might be the elk hunt I literally just did in Wyoming. And it'll be one of our least, what I call photogenic or energetic kind of shows. I mean, I was up in Wyoming. The cool thing about Wyoming is their elk tags, they call them, they're type 1 tags. Basically it's a rifle tag.
Right. It's
a firearm tag, and then you can buy an archery license to hunt during the archery season. So it's really cool, because for bow hunters it's really kind of cool, because most people that apply for those hunts are rifle hunters.
Yep.
And so when you get your archery permit and get your archery license and go hunt, there's very few people in the woods. And bow hunters here in Arizona, we're used to having lots of people in the woods when we have a tag. So anyways, I was up there for 6 days, and it was just tough. I mean, it was hot, That was another question. This year was a warm season up there, wasn't it? Yeah, it was warm from here all the way to British Columbia. The only cool days we had were the very early stages in fact, on September 10th, I woke up with snow on the ground in British Columbia, and, barely saw any more snowfall the rest of this fall until now. So it was really warm during the Wyoming elk season, the archery season, and it was just dead. Saw probably 25 bulls in 6 days, maybe a 300-inch bull. And the tag I had was a really good tag and a really good unit. So it was a little frustrating, but then I went back on the rifle hunt, and right back to 14 days later, glassing from the exact same spots, and in half an hour looked at 20, 25 bulls that were bigger than any bull I had seen in earlier. 6 straight days.
Wow. So, where were you in Wyoming?
Western Wyoming, South Dakota.
Okay, South Dakota.
Yeah, there's lots of great units in Wyoming. Actually, for Arizona hunters, not to throw any big secrets out there, but really need to look hard at Wyoming for elk hunting. It's just an amazing state. Tons of wildlife. Tags are not that difficult.
I spent a week up there in the early 90s, and I remember counting more antelope than I did people, which was amazing, because if you're driving some of those back roads at night, I went up for the Cheyenne, Frontier Days, the world's oldest rodeo.
Right.
And then I went through Cody and went through Casper and then went up through Sheridan and all those places and then over to towards Yellowstone and down into Jackson Hole. I mean, it's incredible country, and it changes a tremendous amount because you go from those rolling sagebrush hills, which is really great for mule deer and antelope, to the big timber that you get over towards Jackson Hole. So you're really basically in the southeastern portion of the state there at Cody.
Yeah. Well, in the west.
Excuse me, west. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just absolutely gorgeous country. And then of course you add the element of grizzly bears, into it all.
That was my next question. Did you see grizz?
No, did not see a grizz. The camp that Randy and I were in, the first 3 nights where we camped, just looked like grizzly haven. It just
Really?
was one of those places, just looked like it was perfect for grizzly bears. And hunting grizzly country changes everything, your whole thought process especially when the sun goes down.
Oh, yeah.
There's all kinds of rules and regulations. All your food has to be locked up. I mean, you've got to use a Yeti Canyon cooler type cooler that actually locks with 2 padlocks. You're not supposed to cook in your camp. You can't even have, by rule, you can't even have toothpaste in your tent with you. And Forest Service will come and check you.
We're going to chat more about that when we come back. Got a word from our sponsors. I'm John Colazar, and you are?
Chris Denham.
Amen.
I've got some big news. The bank finally came through, and I'm holding the keys to a brand new Chevrolet.
Oh, yeah. We won't talk about that, will we, Bill Luke? All right. Well, we were talking before the break about bears. Mm-hmm. And bears have a near and dear spot in my heart because I have been charged by a bear. And
That's crazy.
There's nothing more petrifying. I was shed hunting, and the only thing I was carrying at that time was the 38, which to me is, in retrospect now, going back 12 years, was the dumbest thing I've ever done. And I heard a woof, woof, and I thought initially I thought it was javelina huffing because I was in the middle of Manzanita. And you know how thick they grow.
Yeah.
You can't see real far. And I had just leaned over and picked up an antler when I heard that woof, woof. And I looked up, and all I could see was this huge black bear head. And I thought, oh, boy. And they tell you to talk loud and make noise. I said, hello, Mr. Bear. Honest to goodness, that's what I said. Hello, Mr. Bear.
Yeah.
I'm here. The words aren't out of my mouth, and that thing is just running at me at a dead run. And I remember pulling the 38, leaning over and pointing at the direction it was charging at and firing. And it stopped literally 4 feet from me and started bawling and doing that.
Oh,
and
geez.
the serious pucker factor that goes on is amazing. And I managed to back away, and it didn't follow any closer. And later it turned out, I had to call the Game and Fish Department out because I had shot at an animal, obviously not in season, in the Manzanita Groves. I had to get Henry Apple from Unit 22, and he came up. And Henry is an old timer.
Yeah.
He's been doing the department stuff for 35 years. And he looked at me and he said, what'd you shoot it with, John? I said, well, I had this 38. And he said, well, the only thing you probably did was really piss it off. He said, you're lucky she didn't get madder at you. He said, I think she had cubs. And I think that's what you were doing, was you got in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Just bad luck.
Now, that's a black bear.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking grizz. Tell me some of the rules that you have up there.
Yeah, it's very, very strict, the rules. Not to pick on our government, but it was really frustrating because I knew there's very specific rules you have to abide by, and they will. Forest Service literally can come into your camp if you're not there and confiscate your stuff. If you have an ice chest that's not locked properly, they can just take your ice chest. They can go through your tent. If you got a tube of toothpaste in your tent, they can roll your tent up and take it with them. It's
serious.
Yeah,
you come back to no camp,
to nothing, and you're cited. I mean, it's a violation.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit paranoid. One thing about when you're doing TV shows is you got to play by the rules. By every
all the
rule.
time.
And so we're really sensitive to making sure we know exactly what the rules are and that we abide by them. So I actually went to the Forest Service office in Cody and said, I know that there's these rules, and
what are they?
And I'm guessing, okay, we got to have a booklet. And the guy behind the counter goes, well, it's kind of just got to be safe. And he says, he hands me like 5 different pamphlets, all of which don't have any specific information. So I'm a little frustrated. But I get out there. And I've got the locking Yeti ice chest in my Canyon coolers both, and got everything locked. You have to have, again, all your food and cooking stuff needs to be either in a locked ice chest that's considered bear proof or bear certified, or in a hard side vehicle. So fortunately with my truck, I've got a hard camper on it, so my food could stay in the ice chest, but all my cooking stuff would stay in the back of the truck locked up.
Right.
So literally every morning you wake up, if you want coffee, you got to get up, open your truck, pull your cooking stuff out, boil your water, make your breakfast, clean it up, put it back into your truck, and
how far away from your tent do you cook?
Usually about 75 to 100 feet. You're supposed to, there's no specific rule that you can be in violation of. They just say for safety's sake. So we just kind of focused on being, down, keeping it that the wind, the breeze would not be drifting down past our tent from where we cooked.
No. Yes.
And it really is about common sense, especially in the backcountry, where bears have the possibility of being afraid of humans. So you get some of that front country stuff, while we were there over at Du Bois, there was some kids were attacked and actually ended up shooting the bear, killing a bear. But there was a researcher that was killed by a grizzly about a week before. Well, the week before I got there,
was killed
by a grizzly, and eaten. He was. It was a silly scenario. He was by himself, had no bear spray.
What?
Yeah, apparently, and I don't know the whole story, so I am kind of spreading rumors to a degree, but apparently he was a researcher working for an organization who was trying to document human impacts and why people should not be allowed in the wilderness.
Are you serious? Okay, so here's reason number one.
In his attempt to document why people shouldn't be in there, he was part of the documentation when it was all said and done.
My goodness.
But it was, obviously a sad story, but at the same time, it was, he was by himself, didn't have, what he needed, to be able to defend himself.
And that was one of the things that we need to talk about too. And quite frankly, ever since I have had that charging incident, particularly when I'm shed hunting in the spring, or if I'm by myself in what I call bear country, and most of Arizona, you've got bears somewhere within a shouting distance. I've seen bears several times in the White Mountains. I've seen them 3C. I've had them 25 yards away. And those are big Bruins, in the fall during the archery hunts, they're notorious for dining on gut piles after they're gone, after you're gone, but they're in there. And then they're also trying to forage for as much food as they can for their winter nap. I've started carrying bear spray. I've seen the videos on it. It's much more effective. The only thing you have to make sure of is that you're spraying downwind, right?
Exactly, because it's pepper spray, and it produces the counter assault, in my opinion, one of the best brands out there for makers of bear spray, and they actually make electric fences too that are actually backpackable. We actually use them on some of our hunts.
An electric fence that you portal carry in?
Yeah, it's a material it's super lightweight with fiberglass poles, and it uses real low voltage. And because we're carrying cameras, we have to have charging equipment. So we've got a little Goal Zero battery system that we can plug the fence into at night. And it's a real low voltage fence that, it's well documented. The bears will walk up to it and almost sense the electricity and turn around and walk away and not try to cross that fence. But bear spray, in the woods, walking through the woods, as hunters, especially bow hunters, we're trying to walk with that wind in our face.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, when you discharge pepper spray and you're throwing a huge cloud out there, like the last thing you want to do is have that blow back into your face and not into the bear's face.
After carrying my pepper spray for, I think it was about a year and a half, I've been carrying it on my belt. And one day, just got a wild hair up my backside, and I thought, you know what? I wonder how this works. Does it work? I've been carrying it for a year and a half, and I was in a canyon hiking by myself, and, steep walls on each side, and I thought, you know what? Okay, where's the wind? There's the wind. And I sprayed it. And it's amazing the propulsion that comes out of those things when you do it. That number one impressed me. The color impressed me, number two. What really impressed me, though, was when I had the wind turn, just after I had sprayed. there was just one of those swirling little eddies of wind, and it came back on me, and I thought I was going to go blind. That's how bad it is.
Oh, yeah, and it affects your lungs. I mean, it's difficult to breathe.
Yep.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get that. You don't want to have that in your face, and you certainly don't want it in your respiratory system.
No. And when you look at a bear's physiological makeup, the sensories, input areas that they have all along that muzzle and all the membranes that, the way that's been described to me is a polar bear can smell blood from, 30 miles away if the wind's right.
Right.
And that's scary.
Oh, I bet. I mean, it's amazing when you 2 years ago when I was up in British Columbia and I killed an elk and we could see the carcass from our camp. It was about 2 miles away, but the next day there was a grizzly on it. And from what the outfitter was telling me, there's only one grizzly that lives in that entire basin. He goes, there's only one boar that lives, he owns this basin. And I'm talking a basin that's like 8 miles long and 3 or 4 miles wide. And he was on that carcass the next day. So they definitely
no, they can smell.
They
Yeah.
can smell.
And, for them, I mean, if we reject it based on our miniature sensory organs that we have in our nostrils, in our eyes, can you imagine what that does to a bear? It's got to almost drive them insane. The pain that they feel from that. And I think that's why it's so affected. They want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you after that.
Yeah, and I would imagine that they don't want nothing to do with another human being the rest of their lives. That's a well-trained bear.
Oh, yeah. And we learn that all the time. When you call in an elk, you don't harvest them. You have just completed 101 training for them. And the more times that it happens to them, the more sophisticated they become. The more you and I both know that once the hunt is on and they figure out a hunt is on, they don't move more than 20 yards if they don't have to.
Yeah. And they say, especially animals like bears or coyotes that aren't in the rut. I mean, they're not, their senses are not altered by the rut yet. Like coyotes, bears, something happens to them, they learn quick.
Yeah. So. Well, let's talk a little bit too about, the financing something like a TV show. I mean, you're out there, and this isn't something that just happens. You don't pick up the phone and say, hey, let's go up and film this. I mean, this is pre-planned. Obviously, the expenses of the out-of-state tags. Obviously, the living expenses, the transportation expenses, the food expenses, all of that comes into it. You're not talking something that's easy to do.
No.
Sponsors are important.
Yeah, it mandatory. Absolutely mandatory because, especially out west. I mean, we have to, anytime we do anything on Forest Service land, on public land, we have to have a permit to do it. So the permit, it's still...
Are you talking taxation again?
Yeah, it's really frustrating. I mean, basically, we've got to have the same permits that a Hollywood production company has to have, just for two of us to be there.
We're going to get into that when we come back. We're going to have our message from our sponsors, and we'll be back.
And she'll take the ones that I didn't need.
Oh, Susie.
No, don't say it.
No, I know.
Don't
Okay. All right, we're back. And word from our awesome producer, Jennifer, is that we've got the Bass Daddy himself on the line. Are you out there, Don?
I am out here, JK. How's it going, brother?
Oh, we're having fun. I mean, we're talking about grizz. We're talking about hunts all over the West. We're having a great time. What are you doing?
Right now, I'm kind of shivering.
What?
It's shivering. It's 27 degrees. We've been sitting on an ambush site that's about since quarter after 6 this morning. So
you got a fanny pack out there that's got the butt pad so you can sit and not get cold and not shiver. And why aren't you dressed appropriately, Bass Daddy?
I am dressed appropriately. Yeah, I got it.
We were asked to just stick you with that one, bud. So it's 27 degrees.
All habits are hard to break, JK. The tank top, the flip-flops, the flip-flops from the boots and the shorts. Just, wow.
Oh, we knew that. So 27 degrees. There's frost on the ground, and the bucks should be moving. They're getting closer and closer to their rut time, aren't they?
I would like to think so, but what we're seeing up here, there's just there's some big burns up here, and canyons, points. It's ideal deer habitat, and what's transpired over the last couple of years is these burn areas are turned into a nursery, and we're seeing, holy cow, anywhere between 30 and 45 head of deer a day, and I think last night we had a glimpse of 3 bucks up in high gear. Man, I don't know what lit those guys up, but man,
moving and moving.
Oh yeah, you got one glimpse in your binoculars, and that was the end of that.
Huh. So nobody's harvested an animal yet. And that's the appropriate term.
Not in our group. There are 6 camps up here. You'd love it. They're just quads everywhere.
Oh yeah, I'd be so thrilled to death.
Yeah, I think we're going to do the same thing with the quads as we do with the personal watercrafts or the jet skis. All the hunters get to have a paintball gun. If your quad gets 3 paintballs on a gas tank, you're done for the rest of the year. Yeah,
that's a sad fact, Don. You know it as well as I do. You get out there, you bust out, and you hump out to get into a spot, and then just after first light, you see somebody come running down, and they pass 50 yards from you on a trail you didn't see in the dark.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I don't know whether I'm more mad at them because they have one, or mad at me because I don't have one.
Trust yourself. Go with the high ground in your ethics. In order to hunt appropriately, and Chris is sitting next to me here. We're chatting about that, and that is that you do it the honorable and the right way. And I'm sorry, hunting from a quad with a scabbard on the back that you stop, jump out, and shoot is not hunting.
Yeah. Well, we're paddling it out. We've got my brother Pat and grandson Mason they built a ground blind yesterday afternoon, and they're in a draw contiguous to the power lines. They've got a good location there, and we've got a little bit of a water hole. Not much. It's got, I don't know, enough water to sustain the elk herd. And now we are seeing elk. We jumped a bull last night, and a big bull up in on the rim of going down into Bunker Hill. I don't know what his malfunction was. He was all pissed off about something. And,
at this time of year, they tend to be frustrated. And somebody either jumped him out of his bed and he didn't want to leave it because those big bulls are tired and sore after all the rutting they've been doing.
I think it was me. I felt bad that I interrupted him because the first time I've ever seen an elk, just stomp the ground and snort and turn, kind of wheeled around and looked at me like, you know what, this is a bad time for me. And I backed on out of there, and then Donnie jumped a raghorn last night, and we've seen a couple of turkeys yesterday. It's just a plethora of outdoor experiences. The squirrels are everywhere. I don't ever recall seeing so many squirrels in this country, but not the ones driving the ATVs. The Aberts.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. Bear sign. My hair was standing up on end down in that Bunker Canyon. I know he's down there. And I just you ever get that feeling like you're just being watched?
All the time. You'll know. Know when the short hairs go up, there's a reason. That's DNA implants from 1,000,000 years ago that says, you better be on guard right now.
Mm-hmm. It must be working because, I'm sitting there carrying a 40 caliber with hollow points, 30-06, 180 grain silver tips, reach over and pick up a rock.
See, we were talking about this just the previous segment we were talking about. We are advocates of bear spray.
Really?
Absolutely. And Chris has to tell him, Chris, you have to do it for Grizz.
Yeah, grizzly country especially. I have a 45-70 that I keep in camp, but which obviously is pretty good bear remedy. But gosh, the amount of country, the amount of distance a grizzly bear can cover, or a black bear, in just seconds. By the time it takes you to get one round off, you better be really good with that first round because the second round's probably not going to happen. So. Yeah, and
you've got to have something with the kinetic energy, but like you talk about, you get that kind of mass, that kind of attitude, that kind of speed. You can put half a dozen 50 caliber rounds in their chest, you're still going to get slobbered on.
Yeah, and that bear spray, and obviously bear spray's got some tremendous disadvantages depending on which way the wind's blowing, but bear spray just completely can overcome their senses when they essentially blinds them for amount of time, and then their respiratory system just goes into almost distress. when that stuff gets in their lungs. So it's definitely an effective tool as long as you got the wind going the right direction and you don't panic and shoot yourself in the face with a bear spray.
No. Have you had an occasion to see how that works on a charging Grizz?
No, I haven't. I've seen videos, that people, they're mock-ups, but to see one that's real, I don't think I've ever seen a real one on a Grizz.
You don't
Sure,
want to,
done
Don.
one.
Yeah, I mean, people have done it. They've used bear spray, but to actually, set yourself in an environment to film a charging Grizz, not going to you could not pay me enough money to try and sit there with a bear spray can and hope that it worked. Nah.
No, that's like believing the global warming computer model. Just not going there.
Not going there. Yeah, when I was up in Wyoming this year in Grizzly Country, a Forest Service guy came by my camp and went through all his dog and pony show, checking our stuff, and then, but he told me he'd actually used bear spray 5 times. Of course, he's always the guy dealing with trouble bears and stuff like that, problem bears. And he said every single time it did exactly what he hoped it would do. And the bears reacted exactly the way they hoped they'd react.
That's 4 times too many for me.
Yeah. 4, that's 5. I said 5.
One time I would like to have it work successfully. That's
Right.
it. Just so I could say, I've done it, I've seen it, it works. 4 more times, I don't need to convince me of that. And I mean, that's a lot. That's in Grizz country.
I could just believe the video. I don't even need to experience it myself. I just want to see it on film.
So what else is going on up there? You got great weather. There's not high winds. You've got decent weather. It's cold and it's brisk, but without the wind and without the rain or snow, you should be doing pretty good. I mean, if you're seeing that many does, the bucks are around somewhere.
Well, they are, and I think if you had a choice, it's kind of like bass fishing. You wish the weather would be maybe a little overcast.
Yeah.
With the front moving in to get these guys moving. I think, quite frankly, there's so many draws and canyons here that, the weather's good. They have no reason to be,
and you got a full moon. Around. The full moon's helping them.
And that's half of it. Well, we had a discussion, night before last about putting all the firearms in the camper and going out spotlighting, but, by the time you get full of dinner, it's just like, okay, good night.
Yeah. Yeah, we
didn't pull. Yeah, we know where they are. We're looking up here. I think our next stop, we're going to hit Lost Lakes and then drop on down, because right GPS on 6751, and we're going to drop down to probably below 6,000 feet, which is probably 9 miles to the south.
Oh, you're getting closer and closer towards Sedona then.
Well, we'll be that last cattle
Creek.
guard up there, John. You can look out and look over the edge and see Sedona and Cottonwood, and that power line that runs down through 6B actually emanates from Page, and it dead ends down there in Parkdale.
Wow. All right, so
it's heavy glass in country, and if you do see something there, you've got a 4 or 5 hour stalk on it. Try to get to it, and then if you do get lucky, you get 2 days to pack it out.
Come on, that's what the youth are for. Mason would love trying to pack that sucker out of there. Is he 12 now?
Yes, he is.
I love that kid. He is absolutely awesome. I mean, he's got the fever. He's got it in his blood, and he just loved being out there.
I'll tell you what, we had to drag him out of that ground blind last night after dark. Left to his own devices, he'd have been out there all night.
There you go. That's something we want to do, right?
But did he get out of bed this morning, though? Did you have to drag him out of bed, too?
Nope.
No? Good for him.
No, he's just, man. Energy is wasted on the youth, my friend.
Good point. All right, Don. Best of luck for the rest of the day. We'll try and carry on without you. We can't guarantee we'll do it nearly as well as you do. And good luck and Godspeed, my man.
You guys are awesome. Good talking to you, Chris.
Shake, Rattle, and Troll, brought to you by Bill Luke Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I-17 and Camelback Road since 1927.
Yeah, we got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and
Now, here's Here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, John McDowell.
Well, as we just mentioned, the Bass Daddy is up deer hunting, and it's actually now the deer that fear no Bass Daddy because he hasn't seen hide nor hair of them yet. But, hopefully, I'm rooting for Mason. Bass Daddy's gotten his fair share of deer in the past, but I'm rooting for Mason to get one. And during the break, Paula Padine came in. Good morning, Paula. How are you?
Good morning, John. Great. How are you?
Good. For those who don't know, Paula is the individual person company that puts on the Veterans Day Parade.
Well, I'm not the only one.
No, I know. Tell us about it.
So we have this wonderful board called Honoring Arizona's Veterans that is the presenting sponsor for the parade, and they're a 501c3, and they allow us to put a team together to put on the parade. So I have someone that's in charge of staging, destaging, route management, bands, essay contest, working with our veteran service organizations, all these wonderful, wonderful people that help us put on this large-scale special event that gets 40,000 people out on the street.
I rode in that last year. I drove Bass Daddy's truck and pulled the bass boat, and fortunately I didn't have any sharp turns because it could have been catastrophic. But my father, who is a World War II veteran and who's listening this morning, he rode in the back of the bass boat with my mom. He had a great time. He enjoyed it thoroughly. Yeah, and he served in, I think it was 39 months overseas during World War II.
Wow.
And was in the Battle of the Bulge, and he loves to tell tales about his time in Germany during that time frame. So,
those stories connect them.
Sure.
And it gives them that camaraderie that, when you serve in the military, it's different. There's only 1% of us who serve, first of all. And then you kind of get plopped into these situations where you either have to hang on to the people around you. I was in the Navy, or you kind of sink. So you just get really used to building new teams. And when I was in, it was every 18 months we had to change our tour duty.
Right.
So they don't do that anymore, which I think is good. That was a little hard. But the parade is a wonderful way to honor and recognize our veterans. The mission of Honoring Arizona's Veterans is to honor those who served.
Right.
And that's what this is all about.
I know that for my father, I know one of the things is in that generation, and unfortunately there's not that many that are still left.
No.
But for him during World War II, I know that all of his life, I think that he recognized or felt for himself that it was, it identified him as a man, and the serving, the stress that he was under, and all of those things that he went through for that 39 months was incredibly difficult, and I know he identified with that, as did many of the World War II veterans. And Dad, I got to tell you, the most honorable and brave thing you ever did was to raise 4 kids.
That's so true. I mean, what you experience in the military is very difficult, and it's very personal, and some of the things that you see you never forget.
No.
But having a family, I think, kind of brings it all home.
Yeah.
You know why you did it. It's to protect them, to give us our freedoms, those kinds of things. And if your father wants to, and if he feels like it, we have a World War II float this year that we could
really?
put him on. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and we could get him. So this year we're celebrating our World War II veterans. The theme is Duty, Honor, Sacrifice, celebrating our World War II veterans. And the Shriners gave us this beautiful float trailer that we can use. And we've got tractors, antique tractors that are going to pull the float. And we have room for about 40 veterans on the float, and I think we're up to 30. So if your dad wants to join us, we're doing a special breakfast for the World War II veterans that are in the parade. They're going to come to the breakfast. I won't give away all the surprises, but they'll get a neat little something when they're there. And then we're going to escort them out to the trailer where they can get on, and they're entry number 3.
Oh, cool.
So or entry number 4. Let's see. 3. Entry number 3. And then they'll be done quickly, because the first few entries, they're the lucky ones. Everybody everybody wants to be number one.
Oh, of course.
In the parade.
Having gone through it last year, I know that you do not want, when you're finishing and people are still lined up to start, you thank your lucky stars.
Right, exactly.
And because it's a huge loop. They route you all through.
Right.
It still starts at Bethany, right?
Right. It starts at actually Montebello and Central, and then it heads south on Central, turns east on Camelback, heads south on 7th Street, where it destages at Indian School Road.
Right.
So anywhere along that route, I tell people to go to Camelback. It's harder to find parking north and south on Camelback, so that's where it tends to be a little lighter. But Central is packed. 7th Street is pretty much packed.
I was very impressed last year with the amount of people that were there. I thought it was beautifully handled. And, of course, honoring those people who have some sort, the sacrifice that people who are in the military make is incredible.
It is. My husband and I met when we were in the Navy. I got out before we, got married. But it's just... It's like I said, it's just different. You're really on your own. You learn independence. I highly encourage it, for somebody that's young and kind of trying to find their way. And especially, of course, I'm going to plug the Navy because I was in the Navy.
Wow, I never would have thought of that, Chris. Would you?
I'll stand up for the Marine Corps.
There you go.
Yeah, see, there we go. But the Navy has a humanitarian mission, where they're dropping supplies and kind of getting the troops in and that kind of thing. Not that they all don't, because they all do. And it's really kind of neat how, our forefathers laid out the military or the armed services, because they each have special roles.
Special branch, special roles.
We couldn't do it without each and every one of them. And to everyone out there who has served our country, God bless you and thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is your day. Veterans Day, started with the signing of the armistice ending World War I. It was on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. And that's why 11/11/11 is so significant. So what do? We start our parade on 11/11 at 11.
And that was my next question. What time does the parade start? Starts at 11 o'clock.
Yes,
11 minutes after 11.
No, 11 a.m. exactly.
11 a.m.
Because it's November 11th.
Oh, that's right.
11/11.
I thought you were going to go further. 11/11/11.
No, we try to start at 11. We have the World War II biplane flyover. It's the Stearman Group, and Fred Gorell and his team. They're coming again. And then we've got the Army National Guard Band. We have this beautiful Heroes flag. We have our World War II veterans. We've got 7 high school bands, 2 other bands, the Army National Guard Band and another group called Bad Cactus Brass Band. We've got about 16 floats. We have several marching units. I think 4 ROTC units, which really, they come out in force and they look great. We have a Colonial Color Guard, the twirling athletes, beauty queens for all you guys out there.
I can do the rodeo queen wave. There you go.
We have Shake, Rattle, and Troll.
Yes.
Who's been out there several years running. So it's going to be a fun event. And, the other thing that we do with this parade is we have the most announcing towers along the route. We have 7 announcing towers.
That was awesome last year. I noticed that as we were going through that we had announcements frequently to let people know who was coming through at that point in time. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Attorney General is going to be riding in the Big Sexy this time.
That's what I heard. Yes,
newly elected Mark Rinovich.
Newly elected,
yep,
right.
He's going to be in Big Sexy.
Right, and I heard...
What's Big Sexy now?
Big Sexy is Bass Daddy's military truck. It's a 5-ton.
Okay, gotcha.
We're going to have to hang
a break.
Wow, time flies when we're having fun.
Sorry.
No, I've been here for an hour. Let's take a break.
So we're going to take a break. Chris Denham, Paula Padine, and Special K. We'll be back.
His thunder breaks the silence of the early morning live.
I do love country music, boys.
I like that teaser.
We're here with Chris Denham.
The teaser is the dancing and the singing that gets me.
I've stopped singing. It's okay. Jennifer has to deal with that every week. You know, they've seen me two-step around the table sometimes. It's okay. And also with us is Paula Padine. We're chatting about the Veterans Day Parade, which is Tuesday. Starts at 11 o'clock, and it starts on Montebello and Central Avenue, goes south to Camelback, over to 7th Street, and down to Indian School.
You got it, John.
Not bad, huh?
Quick study. Look at
impressed.
him. We could enlist him. Should we do it now? Get the oath out.
You know, the word
Versus
enlist
recruiter.
and John don't go well together, just so you know. It's not happening.
Okay. It's just fine.
Paula, talk about how long the preparation is for this parade.
Oh, my gosh. So in January, we pick a theme, and then we meet again in May, and we kind of talk about all of the semantics that we need to work on, who's on the team, what they're working on, those kinds of things. And then in August, we meet again, and then pretty much, you okay? Over there, got some water?
Something went down the wrong way. Yeah.
Okay. And then in September, we meet twice, and then in October, it's weekly. We're meeting every week. Rolling up to the
How
parade.
many people involved in the process?
I have such a wonderful team, I have to tell you. You know, last year we kind of had to go underground because the VA pulled out from the parade. And that was really hard on everybody. I think it was hard on the staff. It was hard on the veterans. It was hard on us. So we were able to keep it all together, but I had to do a lot of work. This year, fortunately, my team, we were able to build them up. And we've got about 20 people that help us out in various functions. And, what's really been neat this year is that the sponsors have really taken on enhanced roles. So the other day over at Arizona Public Service, we had Don Brandt, their CEO, came out, and he was one of the speakers at this beautiful event they put on. I couldn't believe it. So we have this Grand Marshals display opening where we have displays of who the marshals are going to be, and we used to put them in the VA lobby. Well, now they're in the lobby of Arizona Public Service headquarters. So we talk about the Veterans Grand Marshals. We have 6 of them. We have a business community Grand Marshal, and then we have celebrity Grand Marshals every year. So APS got this stage out. We had Fred Cohn, who's in the in the Aviation Hall of Fame. He was one of the guest speakers. Senator McCain came.
Oh, good.
It was just, there's 200 people sitting in chairs outside, beautiful flag behind us, hanging off the parking garage. It was an awesome event. And then the University of Phoenix, they're taking on the breakfast before the parade this year. I can't tell you the work that those people have put into it just to make it a flawless, beautiful event. And we've got, special recognition for our World War II vets that are in the parade that are going to join us this year.
Funding for this event, how does that happen?
Through our sponsors, through the community. We cannot do it without this beautiful community of Phoenix. We have different levels of sponsorships, like most everybody does,
Sure.
and a lot of corporations help us. APS won the Freedom Award this year for hiring a significant amount of veterans in their ranks. So
Sure.
they put their money where their mouth is when it comes to veterans issues. We also have TriWest Healthcare, who's helping, all the veterans with the care that the VA can't provide right now. TriWest Healthcare Alliance is one of our top sponsors. General Dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
They've been a long time sponsor in the parade. And the Arizona Republic, it has given us, if you look in today's paper, there's a beautiful
Oh, I saw that this
ad.
morning. Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but and unfortunately I did not know about it, but they have photos of veterans. And it's literally 4 pages of, obviously black and white photos of all the veterans that they could find. In World War II veterans in particular were invited down. I didn't know about it. Otherwise I would have had my dad go down for the photo shoot. But they had literally, there's like 3 or 4 pages of pictures of veterans, all little block pictures, which is really cool, honoring those World War II veterans. So it was very impressive in today's paper.
Well, and then you know what, too? You guys, the radio stations, the TV stations, I have such an impact in the community, and the help that you provide, like the running public service announcements. We paid a small amount for advertising. Several of them are running them, in the ad spots, but also as public service, and then
Yeah, the
giving us
PSAs.
spots. Yeah. So it just, there's, I mean, there's so many sponsors, and we've gotten so many new sponsors this year. And, cause a parade costs money.
Oh, yeah.
Those speaker towers, that's about $9,000 to get all of those up and running. And then we find announcers for the speaker towers, and the announcers donate their time. I mean, we've got Channel 3, we've got Channel 5, we've got Channel 12 that's involved. We've got KTAR. They've done a huge effort for us. They actually run the Heroes campaign where we elect the Grand Marshals. They actually nominate and select the Grand Marshals through a process now. We've got the ASU Walter Cronkite School of Broadcasting, some of those announcers there too. So we have that. You have the J. Johns, got to have J. Johns when you got that many people out there on the street.
A lot of them.
Cleanup services, pedestrian fencing, signage.
What do you think the total tab is for running a parade?
I know what the total tab is.
Okay, come on.
Let her know.
So it's about $70,000, and I'm telling you right now, $70,000 is a bare bones parade.
Oh,
I'm
that amazes
stunned.
me. Yeah, I'm stunned.
I was thinking you were going to talk $200,000, $300,000.
Oh, don't I wish I would have a gazillion balloons if I had $200,000. But that's our goal. Is we're really hoping next year that we can get some extra money, because the more pop you have from the PR world. I talk pop, I talk sparkle, I talk glitz and
pizzazz.
glamour. Yeah, pizzazz. But those balloons, like when the VA had the parade every year at the end of the year when we had excess funds, I would ask for community outreach funding for the large helium balloons. And we bought a Purple Heart, to honor our Purple Heart veterans.
Yep.
We bought an Eagle, we bought an Uncle Sam, we had a nurse, we had a doctor, all those kinds of things. So that element is missing from the parade the last few years. But I'm hoping that next year we can at least have a few balloons that we can get in there.
That'd be great.
When you say balloons, you're talking like the big...
I'm talking Macy's.
Macy's kind of.
Oh, no kidding.
And see, then the problem becomes with the funding is that the helium, I don't know if people know this, but the price of helium has gone up.
Really?
So,
Yeah, most people would not know that.
a scarce commodity, I guess. And so what you have to do is you have to ask for the quarters of helium at the beginning of the year and kind of budget it in. And the balloons are expensive. They cost anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 depending on how big you are, but filling them is
I was going to say, I've wasted all those years sounding like Donald Duck.
Thousands, no. Thousands of dollars.
To fill one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thousands of dollars.
So it costs as much to fill one as it does to buy
it. And then the nice thing, though, when you buy it is you have it from year to... If you take good care of it, you have it from year to year.
That was my question. I've never thought about this, but when you've got a big balloon going on a parade... You have to inject more helium during the parade,
yes,
don't you?
Yeah, there's little. If you don't fill it up correctly, and the helium trucks, are on site, but they do it. These guys know, everybody that we've hired, Arizona Air Boutique, and then Paul Steinman's group used to help us with the balloons, and they know, and they get like the eagle balloon, the feet, they're the talons, and you have to make sure that they're not dragging on the ground, because if they're dragging on the ground, then, you lose the helium all along the way.
Not good. Yeah. And the other thing that I always wondered about was electrical wires, telephone wires.
Yeah, you've got it. So, like, the other thing we had was Rosie, the Riveter,
Oh, yeah.
Was so big.
Oh, yeah.
From World War II. So they all do the limbo. She, Uncle Sam, the doctor, the nurse, they had to do the limbo.
To go underneath
the
power
telephone
lines.
Wires, yeah. And then the city, I cannot. We have to talk Mayor Stanton. We have to talk City Council. Those guys, especially last year, they made it so that we have this parade in Phoenix. Thank God to Mayor Stanton, because he's like, what? We're not going to have a parade? We on Veterans Day, we've got to make this happen. So the mayor did that. And then this year they're helping us out again with police and fire and streets and traffic. And what they do, the signs that say this way,
Mhm.
3 to 6, whatever, the suicide lane, we all know that.
Read that.
Suicide
Oh, yeah.
lane on 7th Street. And it's like, they go out there ahead of time, they flip those signs, they change all the bus routes. So if you're riding the bus on Veterans Day, it's going to be a different route. You can't take the parade route because we need the streets to
Absolutely.
make the
Never
movement.
thought about that.
Yeah,
that's a
so
big
see,
deal.
there's a lot.
Tell me,
There's a lot involved.
tell me, Councilman Saldecicio didn't object. He's objected to everything. That guy is a chronic complainer on the council.
I will tell you who is in the parade. We have Mayor Greg Stanton, and
Good.
we have Councilman Bill Gates, and we have Councilwoman Laura Pastor.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Paula, thank you so much for coming in.
Yes.
We're going to take a break, and then we're going to go up to the high country, going up to Payson and James Guggenhauer with his weekly report on the fishing. Take a break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The morning's kind of damp. I'm not worried about cutting the grass. Left my truck at the boat ramp and my boat is full of gas. My old boss thinks I'm sick today. He won't have me to harass. 'Cause I'm out here on the river.
And you can kiss my big old bass.
Kiss my bass.
Oh, yeah. As we all know, if it's Sunday morning, we're Kiss My Bass. It's got to be James Guggenhauer from Payson, Arizona. As Don says, weather is always beautiful. I don't think so. I think it's always gorgeous, no matter whether it's snowing, raining, or sunny as it is today. Correct, James?
A perfect day up here, JK. Just a perfect day.
Tell me all that's going on up there. I know the elk have died down in terms of bugling. There's none of that, or very little of that going on now. But the fishing's got to be just screaming right now.
It absolutely is. I mean, it's that time of year that the bass are aggressive and they're everywhere. The big news up here is that Apache Lake, Canyon, and Saguaro Lakes all received their first stockings of winter trout this past week. And to the trout fishermen, fishing around the piers or the docks on those lakes can be a lot of fun, especially to take your family up there and introduce some young people to fishing. But for bass anglers, it means a few weeks of exciting fishing before the water turns too cold for the bass to chase those trout.
So the bass are chasing. Those are not small trout. Those are 12-inch trout.
Absolutely. That's why the bass are going after them. There's a bait called an imitation trout swim bait, and it looks just like a 6 or 8 inch rainbow trout, and you can catch some giant bass on those baits if the conditions are right.
Ooh, how does it swim? Do you know?
Well, there's a couple of different ones. Some are just solid, so they just kind of go back and forth. Some actually have like a little swivel in the middle of them, so they kind of snake through the water a little bit more.
A little bit humpy so that it appears that they're damaged or and hurt.
Exactly right. And if you look at it from a bass perspective, one of those trout can be worth chasing 1,000 shad. So it's no wonder why the bass pursue them this time of year.
Oh.
Now, it's all dependent on the water temperature. Right now the lakes are 70 degrees, but as soon as that water temperature drops down to about 50 degrees, the metabolism of the bass slows down to where they can't chase those trout effectively.
James, we're not talking 50s for at least another month, right?
Yes, there'll be some. That's what I'm saying. There's a few weeks right now when those swim baits are real effective and the bass are fattening up. They're trying to get ready for the winter. They know it's coming. So that's the whole idea of what's going on there.
Boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. And for those people who are close to the valley, Saguaro is an awesome place to fish. And, of course, if you're up by Payson, running down to the Mother Lake is not hard to do.
That's for sure. Now, Roosevelt Lake, they don't put any trout in there. But overall, the bass fishing on Roosevelt Lake was just excellent last week. The bass are in shallow water all the way to very deep water. I had reports last week of anglers using a drop shot technique. However, most of the bass that they were catching were in the 1 to 2 pound range. The larger bass are going to be closer to the balls of bait of the shad. And reports were crankbaits, chatterbaits, topwater baits, and spoons were catching bass from 2 feet all the way down to 40 feet.
Wow, so a deep running crankbait, which, is my school of thought, what I would love to do all day long is just throw crankbaits. I mean, cranks and topwaters are what I live for.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you're running your boat out there and you see a ball of shad, no matter what depth they are, a crankbait is real effective right now because that's exactly what the bass are looking for. But it might take some experimentation. I mean, you're going to have to look for that drop shot bite maybe, or maybe it changes to it. It's the time of year that bass are just spread out more than what they typically are in the spring or summertime.
Well, they're foraging now. I think it's like anything else. They know winter's coming, and they're looking for food as fast and as often as possible.
Yep, you got it exactly right. Now, the water in Roosevelt has really cleared up. Most of the western impound lakes, especially like the Salt River chain of lakes, they have crystal clear water. And if you go anywhere except way up in the Salt River or way up to the Tonto, the lake's going to be pretty clear, and you can see down a good ways. The flows into Roosevelt Lake, speaking of those two areas, are back to their normal flows. We're flowing at 100% of their normal rates, both on the Tonto and the Salt, and the lake level remained constant at 40% full last week.
Oh, that's great. We're still going to count on that snowpack to bring it back up to. I would love to see a 50%, capacity this year.
Yeah, it's and you're right. I mean, it's all contingent on how much snowpack we get on the rim. That's the key to filling, all of our lakes down here. So we're hoping for the wet winter that everybody's predicting.
All right, what's going on with the crappie fishing?
Hey, crappie fishing improved. We talked last week, the last couple of weeks, about crappie preferring more stable weather, and we're moving into that kind of area now. We don't have the storms, the water's kind of clearing up, so the crappie bite's pretty good. We just passed the full moon, so that always seems to help the crappie bite, according to our local experts down there. They're seeing schools in 25 to 30 feet of water, and they will always be near structure or cover. Now, everybody's familiar with a 2-inch curly tail gruff tail called a John Deere. It's a yellow and green colored bait. If you put that on a 1/8 ounce small jig head hook and drop it down in the middle of one of those bushes, if there's a school of crappie there, I'm sure you're going to find them.
All right. Now, I hate to mention this because it really goes against my religion, but we know the holidays are coming. I said it early. I mean, it's just past Halloween, but we know Thanksgiving coming. And with Thanksgiving comes Black Friday. With Black Friday comes the rest of the holiday rush. What have you got going on for fishing rods, custom-made fishing rods?
Well, thanks, John. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, it takes a while to build a custom fishing rod. We like to meet with anglers, talk to them about their style of fishing. I like to actually meet the person so I can see their size and shape and, what they're really interested in. So it takes about 6 weeks to order and build a fishing rod. So if you've got your favorite angler and you're thinking about buying a custom fishing rod with the person's name on it or a short verse on the fishing rod, we can accommodate all that. But now's the time to get those ordered, and orders are coming in. So if you're thinking about that, give Rim Country Custom Rods a call, and we'll take care of you.
Now, as I have it in front of me, it's 928-468-0263, correct?
That's the number, and we also have a website. It's www.rimcountrycustomrods.com.
Oh, and he makes such gorgeous fishing rods.
I've seen them.
Yeah. I was the beneficiary of one, and I love it to death. I mean, it's just amazing the way it feels. You haven't experienced it until you've had somebody build you a rod.
No, I imagine. But Jerry, real quick, right when you were saying how long it would take to get a custom rod done, something crackled, and I couldn't hear it. So how long is that? What's that lead time again?
It's about 6 weeks.
Okay.
If I have to order a blank, now we keep a pretty good inventory of blanks, and blanks is the graphite part of the fishing rod. We keep a good inventory, but if we have to order one, it's about a 6-week process.
James, I really appreciate all that you've done, and certainly your rods are amazing. But But I love the fact that you keep us abreast of what's going on up there on the lakes each and every week. And you and I both know that there's mornings sometimes where we don't necessarily feel like being up and at them. But I really appreciate all that you have done.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Good opportunity, and just like getting the information out and sharing for Roosevelt Lake.
By the way, what's going on the wolf front up in Payson? You hearing any news at all?
Hasn't been much talk. The biggest thing up here is that wolf that's been spotted in the Grand Canyon. They actually have pictures of it now.
Yeah.
And they had an article in the Payson Roundup, and they're trying to figure out if it's a Mexican gray wolf that went north or if it's a gray wolf that came south. And
I guarantee you one thing, James. We know, based on size alone, it is not a Mexican gray. That's number one. Number two, it almost seems habituated. There's some questions about this animal that have to be answered, and quite frankly, from what I last read and heard, obviously the Arizona Game and Fish Department cannot touch that wolf because it is a federally protected, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services are the ones that have to deal with it. They are in the draft plans right now for capturing the animal, testing it, and doing everything that they need to do to find out, number one, where it came from, and even if it is a true wolf or if it's not. Because we've got a hybrid guy up there in Fredonia, which is close to the area where this wolf has been found. And if it's a hybrid, it needs to be removed from the landscape. There's no question there, because we do not want to have them up in that deer herd. But nobody knows for sure yet, but it is all in the hands of Fish and Wildlife. But I guarantee you one thing, it is not a Mexican gray wolf. So you can pass that on to all the folks up there wondering.
Right. And like, I was talking to a couple of guys this week, and they said it doesn't matter. I mean, just the fact that they got wolves into the Grand Canyon, that does not, going forward, that's just not a good thing for the wildlife in the Grand Canyon that we've become accustomed to seeing up there.
Amen, James. Well, you have yourself a great remainder of the weekend. Thank you so much for all you do, and we'll chat with you next week when the Bass Daddy's back.
Thanks, JK.
We're going to take a break.
Baby mission, liked his plans, but they came undone when it got around to God.
All right. My, how time flies. It seems like we just started and we're finishing up already. Chris, I want to thank you for taking all the time today to come down here, and I want to thank Paula Padine for coming down. And, for those folks who have the opportunity on Tuesday, I would really encourage you to get out to the parade and honor the veterans. It is Veterans Day. Those who made the ultimate sacrifice and those who spent time out of their lives, to put themselves in harm's way. We really appreciate it,
No doubt.
and we do owe them. So, Chris, let's finish up. We last left off on bears and licenses. I wanted to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
How many licenses do you have to buy to film a show?
Well, you in order to film on public land, you got to have a film permit. And basically, we have to go through an entire plan. Here's our plan of what we're going to do while we're on this public land. And it sounds like you look at it from the outside, you think, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But literally, the permit we need and the work we need to do is the same as a Hollywood production company. And keep in mind, I mean, we're the style of our show. Many times, there's just two of us. There's literally two people, one tent, going hunting. Now, and we have to have a permit and this big plan, and we got to pay. It's $150 a day on average. So if we got 7 days, we're going to be paying
over $1,000.
Over $1,000 to be there. Meanwhile, you can show up with 14 head of horses and 15 people and drink beer for 5 days on that, on this right across the road from us,
and not pay a penny.
Not pay a penny. But somehow what we're doing is having an impact on the resource.
See, this is where logic goes out the window.
I know,
and this is where the taxation methodology that they use. And what happens if you go, say, from a national forest and the animals you're going after go on to BLM land? Mm-hmm. So do you have to have a plan for them as well?
It's every agency has a different.
Of course, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, exactly. So there's certain forests, in the western United States, we know we've dealt with the people before and they know us and we can get things done really quick. And there's some places that we just have to like throw our hands up and say, I don't know if we're ever going to get a permit here, because basically there's a gatekeeper somewhere in that office and it's really up to them whether they're going to even return your email or not.
Are you kidding?
Oh, believe me, it gets a little frustrating. But some are great, some are not quite so great.
Okay, where are areas that are the most difficult for you?
Oh, I'm actually even the wrong person, I say, because I'm always listening to my guys gripe because they're the ones that actually,
they do
the ones
that.
that actually have to do it. Arizona to this point has actually been really easy. It's been worked really well for us. I think because we have a lot of guides operating in Arizona, so having an operation plan and having a person within each of those Forest Service offices is fairly common, because in Arizona our guides don't have designated areas. Where in many parts of the country they have designated areas, so a lot of the employees within the Forest Service offices aren't used to working with these permits very often like they are in Arizona. Certainly Oregon hasn't been, I know Nate's had some frustration in Oregon and Washington and that part of the country. Nevada has been pretty good. We've had some trouble trying to get permits in wilderness areas.
Yeah.
Which you think,
that would be easy. You're not taking any mechanized equipment in.
I know, no mechanized equipment. And like last year, we really wanted to film a sheep hunt in 22, in Unit 22.
Sure.
One side of Canyon Lake is all national forest, Tonto.
Right.
The other side is wilderness, is designated wilderness, which is the 22 side of Canyon Lake, that north side.
Yeah. Where all the caves are on the north end of the lake.
Yeah, the whole north shore. And there's beer cans, there's boats anchored all over the place in there.
Parties going on all along, yeah.
But somehow if we step off of that boat with a camera, we're compromising the wilderness values along Canyon Lake, and we never could get a film permit. We could never get a permit to film within that area.
Really? You still can't?
No.
I think the practical aspects of real life are what boggle the mind with people with the federal government. And where you cannot do something, and like you said, two guys going in with a camera. What's the difference if I do it and someday I decide to promote it? I happen to capture a wonderful hunt on film, and I just happen to have my son with me, and we did that. We would be in violation because we didn't have a license.
Yes, you didn't have a permit. Yep. If you do anything commercial that's deemed commercial with that footage or with a photograph.
Photograph?
Even a photograph. If you're selling photographs, and you take an amazing picture and you try to sell that, if you didn't have a permit when you took that photograph, then that photograph is you're not allowed to sell that. You're not legally allowed to sell that for commercial gain.
So, for instance, Arizona Highways, they have their nature photographs, or the Arizona Game and Fish Department. Everybody had to have a permit to be taking photos, even if they didn't succeed. They would have to have a permit.
They would. Now, of course, we all know that those rules only apply to people who actually make application. So,
yeah.
It is frustrating for us because we're camping out there and we're going to be on TV where we've got a bit of a target on our back. So we have to comply with all of those, all the rules and regulations regarding permitting, which I know there's, when you go into some of National Geographic and some of these, I can just about guarantee you most of those photographers don't have permits when they're taking those photographs.
I don't think they do either.
Yeah.
All right, what are the shows that are coming up? Can you give us a little teaser on them?
Today's a really cool one. It's Nate Simmons and his dad hunting elk in Wyoming.
Ooh.
I've got a real cool interaction with a big black wolf.
That was another question. Are you seeing more impact from the wolves?
Yeah, I didn't really this year, and I really couldn't even testify to it because I don't have much history up there. But certainly the guys tell me up there, especially in the moose country, that huge impacts from the wolves, huge impacts. In the grizzly country, it's really more the grizzlies
that are doing the damage.
Grizzlies are just expanding like crazy up there. Just the other day there was another grizzly bear attack. I think there's been 8 or 10 grizzly bear attacks in the lower 48 this fall. Whereas pastures would be 1 or 2. Grizzly bears are definitely expanding. And of course, there's no talk of getting them off the endangered species list. So
no, I know
wolves, there's something in progress there.
All right, so we got an elk hunt in Wyoming, western Wyoming.
Yeah, western Wyoming elk hunt. We've got my British Columbia bear hunt coming up here soon. Gosh, you thought I brought a run schedule with me, but we've got Nate's high country mule deer hunt coming up. It's a tremendous hunt. I won't give away won't give it all away. It's an awesome hunt though. And then we actually go into our fourth quarter. We'll be into what is our second end of our repeats, which repeats in our end of our fourth quarter are really awesome shows. We try to put our best shows on.
Obviously, yeah, the best of the best.
Yep.
For somebody like me, I envy the fact, but I also recognize there's a lot of days that are real hard to get up and do what you do.
Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, there's days when filming is a blast, and then there's times it can be a little frustrating. I mean, heck, this year, my son Mark and I had antelope tags in Wyoming, and we got on a really big buck, and Mark was going to shoot first because he only had 3 days to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And we stalked. Mark was laying down with his rifle over the pack, the antelope buck standing there at less than 200 yards. With Mark's got his crosshairs on the buck, but we can't get the camera in position to capture the shot. And it took almost 3 minutes by the time we got it set up. The antelope saw us and took off. And you look at that and you go, if we weren't filming, we'd be done by now.
Oh yeah.
Filming it, but we have a rule. The camera guy is the one that tells you when it's okay to pull the trigger.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're sitting there ready. Obviously, the hunter has to let the cameraman know I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But the cameraman is the critical one, because if you're not filming, you've wasted everything.
Yeah, exactly. Everything you've gone is almost a waste. I mean, we've been able to salvage a few things because stuff happens. But
I can appreciate, and for those who are east of the Mississippi, those boys who hunt from tree stands and farm plots, they have no concept of what it means to hoof after big game animals.
No, it's a totally different world when you got to pack it all in your bag.
Amen. All right, Chris, thank you so much for coming down today.
It was a great time.
Amen. And for everybody else, you have a great weekend. And as Bass Daddy says, hug your bass boat. I hope I hope he harvests a nice, decent mule deer for Mason.
Yeah.
You guys take care.